Okay, guys, so I was having some technical difficulties trying to go live. My computer kept saying the camera was being used by something else. It was just being really weird. I don't really know, but whatever, it's fixed now. So it is Wednesday, which is halfway day through the week. Hopefully y'all had off on Monday, which is exciting because it's a short week. But I just wanted to do some yoga during lunchtime to get up and get moving, because normally I do yoga in the morning, but since the kids went back to school this week, it's been pretty chaotic, and I can finally hear myself think this week. So I'm going to start out today in child's pose. So you're going to sit on your knees, put your arms forward, and fold over. You can do a wide forward fold as well, where you spread your knees apart and you put your forehead to the ground, and you really forget about what's going on outside or what's going on right now, and focus internally on your breathing and ground yourself. And really focus on what is bringing you here to this practice. Is it the fact that you need to reset for the day, or is it that it's been a stressful morning so far? And while you're doing this, reflect inside and think about how much you have to be grateful for, even if today is not perfection or the year hasn't started off great. Show yourself grace. Now, I'm going to come back to all fours, and I'm going to do some cat and cows. Tuck in, look up, and feel the stretching in your back. And I'm going to go about this a little bit different this time. I'm going to revert all the way down to my stomach, and I'm going to do some Supermans and laying down. This is just to warm up my upper back. So many times you're bent over all day, so really warming up your upper back, I feel like, is super beneficial. And we're going to hold on this last one for a few moments. You're going to feel the tension in your mid-back, but this is really strengthening your upper back muscles and telling your shoulders to, tip back a little after they've been hunched over for so long, if you've been hunched over at a desk. And then release. And then I'm going to do a floor bow. And this is really going to strengthen my upper back or wake up my upper back muscles. And if you fall back out, as always, come back in. Every day your body feels different, and what your body needs is different. So if what I'm suggesting isn't a perfect fit for your body, modify it or do something that can. All right, now I'm going to go up to a plank position, and I'm going to hold it here for a moment as well, just to get my blood flowing. And again, as we go through these poses, reflect inward and remember that perfection is not the end goal, but the end goal is looking inward and doing what your body needs or what your mind says. Sometimes you have to leave the mind behind and just listen to your body. And now I'm going to step into a lunge, and I'm going to move back and forth, get the thigh work going, and then I'm going to lean down on my back and lay on my back completely. And then I'm going to lift my legs overhead, doing a shoulder stretch to comp the floor bow that you did earlier. And now you can hold it here to get the blood reversed. And you can go forward into a snail pose or a Krimasana. And then I'm going to come back up, and I'm going to go all the way down, and I'm going to do a fish pose. So with the fish pose, you're going to stick your hands underneath, palms facing down like you're in back pockets. And then you're going to Lift your head up. It's basically to open your throat chakra. And I'm going to lean backwards like this. You look like a fish. Now you can take it one step further and put your hands overhead like this. You're leaning basically on the top of your head, and it's a great back stretch. And then be careful when you come back down not to hurt your neck. Okay, so like I said, I was starting this flow slightly different than I normally would, or than that would be normal, I guess. But maybe normal is unnormal. Who knows? So I'm going to go into this crab pose here, and I'm going to lift my right leg and do dips. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now remember, this is strengthening your arm muscles. I'm going to do 15 of them on either side. I kind of lost count, but I'm guessing that's close to 15. So, and make sure you keep your upper ab works and you're focusing on your abductor muscles as well, because when you slouch, it's not going to be beneficial. And again, it's 15 on either side. All right, and then can lean forward and stretch it out. Now we should be all good and warmed up after those few exercises or positions that we just did. And I'm going to go back to all fours again, and I'm going to go into a downward dog, first downward dog of the day. So walk your dog or go to side to stretch out either side. And I'm going to walk my hands back to my feet, forward fold, half lift, forward fold again, and then go into a chair pose, and I'm going to hold it for a few moments. Now, while you're in this chair pose, just think inside and think of how challenging it was to get where you are today. So sometimes you have to think inside and give yourself grace about not being perfect 100% of the time. Life is about imperfection. There are no perfections. And I'm a perfectionist, which is why sometimes I don't think I've gone back to painting in a while, because I feel like every time I do it, first of all, I run out of ideas. I have ideas, but I feel like I come back to the same ideas. And for me, it's kind of, I need to think outside the box or get some more inspiration somewhere sometimes. So when I go to the beach, sometimes I get more inspiration. And the same thing goes in life. Sometimes you need inspiration or try new things to feel inspired to do different things or to alter what you're doing. So we go into a vinyasa and then downward dog. And then you're going to lift your right leg up to the sky all the way. And then you can flip your leg if you want to feel that thigh stretch. And I'm going to step it through the center. And I'm going to do a crescent lunge, where you lift your hands overhead and look up at the sky. And then I'm going to twist it to the right, and I'm going to look back at my right hand. And I'm going to feel this lunge. And I'm going to hold this pose for a moment. And then I'm going to step my left foot forward, clasp my hands behind my back, look up toward the sky, and bend over my right knee. And look up at my thighs. You get the best stretch if you're looking in the correct area, because that is forcing your neck and your back to go toward or gravitate toward the right area. All right. And then I'm going to stand tall. And then I'm going to put my hands down. And then I'm going to do it on the other side. If you want to do a vinyasa, you can. I'm still a little sore in my shoulders, so I try to take it easy. Lift your left leg to the sky. Bend your leg if you want to feel the thigh thing or thigh stretch. And then you're going to step it through, and you're going to do a crescent lunge. And you're going to hold it for a moment, and then twist to the left. Gaze toward your left hand, and hold it for a moment. Now, do not worry if you fall out, just get back in, or try a modified pose if you can't hold it like this. And then I'm going to go back, step my right foot forward, and do the pyramid pose. Lean back, forward fold over your left leg. And again, look up at your left thigh. And again, yoga is a breathing practice, so don't forget about your breath work. So then I'm back in the downward dog. And I'm going to start this again, maybe slightly different flow, but I'm going to walk my hands back to do the chair pose, half lift, forward fold, chair pose. Now make sure you have good form when you do the chair pose to get the positive effects from it. If you don't have good form, you can injure your knee or do other crazy things. I'm going to swing my right arm back, gaze follows, back towards center, keep yourself low. Left hand back, gaze follows. Keep yourself low, back towards center, stand tall, back bend, forward fold, half lift, and then walk it out into a plank. And Vinyasa. And then I'm going to go back to the downward dog. I'm going to lift my right leg high. I'm going to flip my dog. So I'm going to be on my back, Vinyasa, and then I'm going to lift my right arm toward the sky and hold this pose for a moment. This is strengthening your upper back or your back muscles, and you're strengthening your left arm that is planted on the ground. Your left hand, brother. And when you hold this, all the shaking is restabilizing your muscles or helping your muscles strengthen. And then I'm going to flip back over, put my right leg back toward the sky, step it through, and I'm going to do a crescent lunge. And then go to the twist to the right. And then I'm going to do a pyramid pose, step your left foot through, back bend, forward fold over your right leg. If you're having trouble with balance, move your leg closer inward to fill in the gap. And then from this pose, I'm going to do a reverse half moon. So I'm going to plant my left hand up and put my right hand toward the sky. Gaze tries to follow. I know it's an awkward pose. And then hold it for a moment. And then switch, cross your left leg over your right. Temple dancer, twist to the inside of your left foot. Try to follow. And then Padangusthasana A or B, whichever one is easier. If you can go out to the side, feel free. And while you hold it for a moment, you can feel your muscles maybe moving in your ankle or strengthening. And then take it back to the center. Grab it with your left hand and do dancer pose and lean forward. And the more you lean forward and the more you fill in that gap with the hole between your leg, the easier it can be. And then I'm going to go to a vinyasa, lifting my right leg toward the sky. And now we're going to do all that on the left side. So we're going to lift our left leg high, flip our dog, Vinyasa, hold this pose for a moment. And then flip it back over, lift your left leg up, crescent lunge, twist to the left, gaze follows, step your right foot forward, back bend, forward fold over your left leg, gaze follows. And then reverse half moon. So plant your right hand down, lift your left hand high. One side might be easier than the other because we are not anatomically perfect. And then bend your right leg over your left knee, twist it, temple dancer, and then grab your right foot, put it out in front of you, Padagustasana A or B, whichever is easier for you, and then grab your foot behind you and go forward, dancer pose. And then Vinyasa with your left leg high. Whew. And then back to downward dog. So that was definitely an intense flow. Sometimes people move through the poses really fast and they forget that they can be a strength pose. You can hold it a little bit longer to gain strength. You can always do it faster if you want to. It just depends what you're feeling at that moment. So back to downward dog. I'm going to back my hands up back to doing a chair pose and twist to the right, gaze follows, twist to the left, gaze follows, forward, stand tall, back bend, forward fold, half lift, walk it out to do a vinyasa. And then back here, I'm going to lift my right leg high. And instead, I'm going to do a fallen star this time, where you tuck your right leg underneath, lift your left arm high, and lift my right leg back up. Crescent lunge. Twist my right arm back. Gaze follows. Pyramid pose. Whew. Reverse half moon. And then swing your left foot through. Temple dancer. Sometimes the more that you do it, the better the stretch can be. And then Padagustasana A or B, whichever you prefer. And then dancer pose. And then go back down for a vinyasa, lifting your right leg toward the sky. Now we're going to do those same poses on the right. So lift your right leg or left leg high, fallen star, hold it for a moment, and then back up. Crescent lunge. Whew. And then twist to the left, gaze follows. And then pyramid pose. Remember your gaze. And then reverse half moon, plant your right hand, left hand high to the sky. And then swing your right foot through, temple dancer. And then Padagustasana A or B, whatever is easier. And then dancer pose. So you're going to put your left arm in front of you, grab your right hand, foot behind you, and then vinyasa with your left leg up. All right. Back to downward dog. So now from downward dog, I'm going to go on my knees. And if you guys can't do this, I'm going to try to show you how to do a crow pose or a tripod. And I have another video that might be a little bit easier, that goes a little bit more in depth on how to do it. But I always say everybody can do this, but don't overdo it if you don't feel comfortable. Just do what you can. But I always encourage you to challenge yourself, because so many people think that they can't do yoga because it's too challenging or it's too hard, but yoga really isn't about this. Yoga is about doing what your body feels and focusing on your breath work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take both my hands, place them firmly in front of me. They're right outside my knees. And then I'm going to tuck my head slightly above it, so it makes kind of like a triangle. Depending how shallow you want your head or not will just depend on what your expectations are, how you feel your center of gravity. It can be different for each person. So I'm going to tuck my head down. Then I'm going to put my knees above my elbows. And then I'm going to tell you, you can lift one leg and then two legs. And then you can hold it for however much you want. But say you didn't want to take it that far, you could just do a tripod, or you could bend. When I first started, I just bent either leg over the other because it's a trust thing. But it's really easy to overdo. Headstands, I want to tell you, if you don't have the proper form or you're not getting the proper support, a lot of the support comes from your abs and knowing how your body feels. So you don't want to go into it knowing that you don't feel comfortable doing it. So just starting on a tripod or a crow pose is really beneficial. So you're going to do the same situation, but sometimes I can go like this, and this can make me feel comfortable when I first started because I have one knee balancing on the other. But ultimately, it's about how you feel and what level you're taking it to. But I normally transition from that pose to the crow pose. It just depends how you feel and how you trust your body. So I would say challenge yourself to do what you can and what you feel comfortable with. So nearing the end here, I'm going to go do a wide leg forward fold. Now, for a while now, my right leg has been tight, so I'm not sure how far my body is going to allow me to go. But I always say sometimes you need to work through things. Obviously, if it feels too painful, it's not a good idea to do it. So I'm going to lean forward and just relax, no pressure intended. And normally I can go a little bit further, but my right thigh still feels tension and tightness, and I don't want to push it. And that's how you should think about yourself when it comes to these poses or these stretches. And now you're going to hold it. And really focus on getting your breath work back down. And focus on how this class has taken maybe your focus off of whatever pains exist outside, and focus on regenerating new hope for what's to come, and being present with yourself. Be present and grateful that you showed up for yourself and that you have grown mentally or physically with where you are, meaning you have made positive changes and impacts on yourself. And when you tell yourself the positive things, it really makes an impact. So don't be negative about yourself or how you feel. Be positive. And as you're in these positions, you can you'll see your muscles gently lighten, or will allow you more give, because they're basically doing what they're supposed to do. Okay, now I'm going to come back up, and then I'm going to do a back bend. So just lean back to counter the pose. And then I'm just going to put my legs together like this and do a forward fold briefly. Depending how far out you want your legs, if you want a wider diamond, it will affect the type of stretch that you're getting in your legs or your hamstrings. So, ending our practice, I hope you guys look at this day or the beginning of this month or year as a way to show yourself grace and not expect perfection every day, but you look at it as a way to view these tiny changes or goals that you set for yourself as positives, because perfection isn't a thing ever. So I hope you guys have a great Wednesday or great rest of the week, whatever time you're watching this. And I look forward to coming back on here and doing more.